This video will focus on engaging or re-engaging your organisation's volunteers. If you can give me 5 minutes, I will hopefully get you thinking about the status of your group's volunteer base and provide you with some practical advice that you can then adapt for your own organisation. We will focus on organisations that are preparing to reopen or scale up services. The information is just as valid though for groups who have been operating throughout the crisis. We've a lot to cover, so let's dive straight in. The number of volunteers that a group requires is directly linked to the services that group offers and the volume of people that use those services. So why do organisations involve volunteers? The primary reason is to add value to the organisation or to bring a new skill to the group. With that in mind, our first step should be to look at the current volunteer roles in use at your organisation through the eyes of the COVID-19 restrictions and your group's future operating model. List your current roles and their associated tasks and check to see if there are roles or tasks that are no longer needed or can no longer be performed due to COVID-19. This is also an opportunity to see if any deviation has crept in between your documented role descriptions and the tasks actually being performed by your volunteers. It could also be the case that the current emergency has resulted in an opportunity for you to create new volunteer roles. If it has, I would be advocating that now is the time to not only create and advertise these new roles, but to update your existing volunteer opportunities to take COVID-19 related protocols into consideration. Doing this will ensure your volunteers are aware of and committed to implementing any resultant changes. Having assessed your organisation's volunteer opportunities, please also consider the profile of your volunteer base. A major lesson learned during the crisis has been the over-reliance of some parts of the sector on volunteers of a certain age category. Though not by design, several groups felt the full impact of much of their volunteer base falling into the cocooning category, which had a dramatic effect on their service provision. So the takeaway point here is that you may have the correct number of volunteers, but are you overly dependent on one age category? And if so, what steps do you need to take now to mitigate that risk? It's important to remember too that COVID-19 has a wide sweeping impact, not only limiting our ability to interact with others freely, but on our peace of mind in doing so. Historically, people volunteered to make a difference, give something back, learn new skills or make new friends. They did so without having to consider their own personal safety or the negative impact that their volunteering may have on their loved ones. COVID-19 has introduced a new dynamic into that mix. Taking this into consideration, if you haven't already done so, please officially check in with your volunteer base. While officially may be the wrong word, I'm talking about more than just an informal how are you getting on chat. Volunteers enable the provision of your service. You cannot assume that those who were volunteering pre-COVID-19 will volunteer when your organisation needs them in the near future. At a minimum, your structured conversation should include updating the volunteer on the current and future status of your organisation, including the impact that COVID-19 has had and will have on the group's day-to-day operations and how that will affect them. Take this call as an opportunity to showcase your organisation's commitment to the well-being of the volunteer by including new procedures, precautions and policies that you will be implementing to ensure their safety while volunteering. Having discussed these two items in depth, the volunteer should be given the opportunity to ask questions and for you to address any concerns that they have. The ultimate goal of these conversations is to gauge if the volunteer is planning on returning to your organisation, to assess if there are any extra support needs they may need arising from COVID-19, and to gather qualitative data on volunteer sentiment and potential issues that your organisation may need to address. It could be argued that this check-in process is even more vital for organisations who have been operating throughout the crisis. So if you've been operating or are planning on returning to service provision, if you take nothing else from this short video, please take the importance of engaging or re-engaging with your volunteer base. This is not something that can be put on the long finger. There is a mutual benefit to the volunteer and your organisation by making those calls, so please make them. Having reviewed your organisation's current volunteer roles, examine the age profile of your volunteer base and talk to the individual volunteers, you will find yourself in one of two categories. You will either be an organisation that has adequate volunteers to meet your needs or one who hasn't. If you still have an adequate volunteer base, all you need to do is to ensure the individual volunteer role descriptions are updated to reflect COVID-19. Make your volunteers aware of the changes made and have them read and understood and adhere to any new policies and procedures or legislative requirements that have resulted from the pandemic. If, on the other hand, your volunteer programme needs assistance, you are not on your own. Tipperary Volunteer Centre is funded through the Department of Rural and Community Development to help you. Our staff can provide you with support, assist you with volunteer recruitment, the drafting of quality volunteer role descriptions and much more. So please get in touch. Contact details are below. If you are looking at this video and not based in County Tipperary, please contact our colleagues at your local volunteer centre, details of which can be found at this link. The COVID-19 crisis may have forced our hands in the short term, but we will take control back. We all played a major part in helping to flatten the curve, And with hundreds of people across Tipperary and thousands nationally having signed up to assist with the fight against the virus, now is the time to harness that goodwill. The number one reason why people volunteer is that they were asked. If your organisation needs support or assistance with volunteer recruitment, partner with us here at Tipperary Volunteer Centre. Working together, we will not only define quality volunteer roles that will do the asking for you, but provide you with the peace of mind that there is a free local service on hand to support you and your organisation now and into the future. If you would like to receive sample templates and checklists covered in this and other videos, please sign up to our newsletter. The link is below. Thank you.